Hello and welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator here at Frederick County Animal Control. We have a variety of animals to show for you today. A couple of weeks ago we were showing you basically all pit bulls, and while we do still have a lot of pits available for adoption, we're happy to announce that many of them are in the process of being adopted, and what we have for you today is a variety of different breeds from big to small. And the first guest here with Tammy is LJ, and LJ is one of our seniors. He's a 9-year-old pug mix. As you can see, he's kind of chill. He's got the cutest little underbite. He is still, fairly active, fairly happy. He wants to run right up to your kennel. He wants to lick you. He's a sweet, sweet guy, always happy, always excited to see visitors. He does have, as many of our seniors do, some things that need to be looked into as far as his medical care. So he does need to have a dental. We're recommending that be done in the next 6 months, just getting his teeth nice and clean so that he can stay healthy and happy. And then he also has a lump on his foot. And we are also recommending that be removed and biopsied, and that's something that's going to need to be watched to see if it's going to grow anymore or anything like that. And as with all seniors, whenever you're doing any type of surgery and you're putting them under anesthesia, you need to make sure that you're doing the senior blood work to make sure that they can handle going under anesthesia, and that's going to be a safe thing for them. Seniors are great pets because, as you can see, they're kind of more mellow and they enjoy hanging out with people. They're easier to handle as far as walking and taking them out. But you do have to make sure that you can also handle the potential medical concerns that might come up. LJ was previously owned. He lived with one family for since he was a puppy, so he's really only known one home, and then he made his way here to us. They said that they brought him in because he keeps running away. So when you have a dog, you want to make sure that you're taking them out and not just letting them run off in the yard. You're supervising them. You're putting them on a leash. If he can slip his leash, you're putting him on a harness. There's lots of things that you can do to make sure that your dog's not going to get away from you, but you have to put more effort into it. LJ is also a little bit overweight, so putting him on a diet and exercise plan would be beneficial for him as well. If you want to make him part of your life and your family, the first step is to stop in and visit with him here at the shelter. If you can stop by and see us at 1832 Rosemont Avenue. When you're walking through the dog adoption floor, it is hard to miss our next guest, Gunner. Not only is he big in size, but he has a big voice that he likes to showcase for all of the visitors. Gunner is a 2-year-old blue tick mix, and he loves attention. So he likes to let everyone know that he's there because he wants some attention when visitors are walking by. But don't let his big bark fool you. He's really just a big softie. He is actually color-coded yellow here, and as people who have been watching the show know, yellow is our color code for our shy animals. So Gunner is going to be one of the ones that's going to take a little time to warm up to you. He's a little timid, and being in the shelter is a scary place, especially if it's not someplace that you've been before. You're not used to the kennel environment with all the other animals, things like that. So Gunner is definitely more of a gentle giant, weighing in at about 99 pounds. So if you have a weight restriction on what you can have in your rental property, then Gunner is definitely not going to fit into that for you. But if you have lots of space where he can run around and play and he can sniff lots of stuff, then maybe Gunner is going to be a much better fit for you. He does a pretty good job of keeping his kennel clean. He's very friendly and he loves to cuddle, but he is very cautious and he is fearful. Loud noises, new people can kind of maybe startle him a little bit. He reacts favorably to other dogs, but he is, again, very shy because he has a lot of power behind him. He is a bigger dog. He can pull when he's walking, so harnesses are always great ideas for all dogs, especially the strong dogs. It gives you a little bit more control. We were unable to test him for food aggression or for object guarding because he just wasn't interested, which is common when they're shy and stressed. They can't really focus on any of those things, but he loves to be petted. He loves to be petted. As you can see, he wants to cuddle with Tammy. He thinks he's a big lap dog there a little bit. He was previously owned, and he lived in a home with another dog, a smaller dog, a Pomeranian in fact. But his previous owner said that he was nervous around other dogs. Another important thing to know about Gunner is that he did test positive for Lyme. So that's something that you would need to keep an eye out on. Talk to your vet about the ways to treat that and ways to manage that condition for him. It's also going to be incredibly important to make sure you're maintaining flea and tick preventative for all animals, but especially for dogs like Gunner who have already tested positive for that Lyme. We went from one extreme to the other. We had our biggest dog in the shelter, and now we have our smallest dog. This is 3-year-old Mercedes, and she is a Yorkie mix. Her previous owner said she was a Yorkie Chihuahua mix, which I can see. She came to the shelter because she was no longer allowed to live in that apartment. So if you're looking to adopt an animal, Frederick is a very pet-friendly area. There are many places that will allow you to have animals in your rental properties. You just have to do a little bit of more research to find those places. And sometimes they do ask you to pay a deposit for having a pet. Sometimes they might up your rent a little bit, but if you're really looking to keep your pets, Frederick County is a great place to be, and there's lots of places that you're able to do that, especially with a dog the size of Mercedes. A lot of places have weight limits and breed restrictions, so a 10-pound dog like Mercedes is definitely going to fit underneath most of those weight restrictions. She is, again, about 3 years old. She's very playful. It says that her previous owner says she can be a barker, but she walks well on leash. She rides well in the car. They say she's also a bit of a chewer. So just finding things that she wants to chew on, positive alternatives, and giving her positive reinforcement when she's using the right things. If you find the right motivation and you're committed, then it's very easy to train your dogs. You just have to be willing to put in the time and the effort. Here in the shelter, we have behavior assessed her. And we have found that she's pretty good about keeping her kennel clean. She is a little bit of a shyer dog. She's not color-coded yellow, but she is cautious when you approach her kennel. She's a little shy when you try to get her out. Just being, patient and slow with her, not necessarily rushing in, and lots of fast movements and loud noises at first. You want to kind of be calm when you're approaching her. When she's walking, she is a little nervous, but she has no issues with food aggression, not really interested in toys here, but she loves to be petted. She will jump right up on your lap, and as you can see, she's perfectly content sitting on a lap getting lots and lots of attention. The adoption fee for a dog like Mercedes would be $92.50. That covers spaying her, getting her rabies vaccinated, distemper bordetella vaccines, dewormer, flea and tick preventative, microchipping, county licenses, and also a free well visit to the vet. You can't beat that price for what you're getting. Not only are you getting lots of great medical care, but you're getting an amazing new pet. The last canine guest we have for you is Jetta, and she is a German Shepherd, and she is a beautiful dog, but we do have some restrictions on who can adopt her. When people see her, she's a beautiful dog, they want to take her on, but because of her history, we have suggested that she only go to a home with adults, and no small kids in the home. Thank you, Jetta. Can you sit for me? Good girl. We also want her new owner to be somebody who has experience either with German Shepherds specifically, or drop it, thank you, sit, or with working dogs. As you can see, she's a very smart girl. She's very well trained, but sometimes they can be a stubborn breed, so we want somebody who's familiar that can work with her and continue her training and work with her on things like her issues with food and toys and things like that. So we just want to make sure that she's going to go to the best home possible. Thank you. Drop it. Jetta, drop it. Thank you. Sit. so that she's going to go to the best home possible and never make a return trip back to us. Can you give me your paw? Thank you. Ready? Thank you very much. She's super affectionate. She's a great dog, but she can be a little bit much sometimes, and she's an example of not judging a book by its cover. When Jetta first came in, she was a little aggressive, but it wasn't because she's a bad dog. It was because she had severe ear infection, and she was in pain, so that was affecting her behavior. When you're interacting with any animals, you don't necessarily always know what's going on with them. So we were able to muzzle her and check out her ears and realize what was going on. And since she's been treated, her behavior has changed a lot. And she's now getting her ear treatments and things like that without a muzzle. So she's making great progress. And as you see, she's also a high energy dog. So whoever's taking her on has to be willing to give her the exercise and the mental stimulation that she really needs to thrive. She reacts negatively to other dogs, it says, when they're walking past her in her kennel. So that's something that if you have another dog, you definitely want to make sure that you're doing a meet and greet with Jetta to make sure that it's something that you can at least work with, or if it's something that's never going to work. If you were interested in adopting Jetta and you meet all of the requirements, thank you, sit down please, that she has for her adopter, you could adopt her for her adoption fee of $92.50. She is being adopted through our puppy process, which means we're going to take 4 applications for her and find the best fit for her. We recently added another rabbit to the adoption floor. This is Stormy, and she's about 5 years old, and she is a mini Rex as well. You may remember we had Sweet Pea on the show. She was a black mini Rex, and she was our blind rabbit. These guys, Stormy was surrendered, but we found out that she came from the same home as Sweet Pea. They are both the softest rabbits. I can't even accurately describe how soft they are. And Stormy is just as sweet as Sweet Pea is. She's color-coded orange. She's very kind of easygoing. When I picked her up and put her in the cage to bring her out here, she didn't kick or fight. She just was happy to be, picked up and then put on a lap, and she seems quite content right now, just kind of hanging out. She was purchased previously from a pet store, and they've had her, that entire 5-year period. They were relinquishing her because they don't play with her anymore. So that's a good thing to understand, is that rabbits and guinea pigs and hamsters and all of those animals that typically we think of living in a cage, they're not meant to live in the cage 24/7. They have needs. They, just like a dog or a cat, wants to be socialized with and played with. They need exercise time. So you have to take them out of their cages and give them time to run around. You have to spend time petting them and cuddling them. They need that just as much as any of the other kind of more traditional pets do. Rabbits are not meant to live in cages outside. These are house rabbits. They're bred to be your pets. Some people even just let them run around their house like a cat. You have to make sure you're bunny-proofing your home, because they do like to chew on things. They need to chew on things, but we want to make sure they're not chewing through our wires and our cables and causing damage for us to expensive items, but also damage to them and potentially even our home on a larger scale. If you want to stop in and visit with Stormy or any of the animals you've seen on this half of the show, you want to stop in. We are located at 1832 Rosemont Avenue. After the break, we are going to introduce you to 5 of the cats that are living with us here currently at Frederick County Animal Control. We hope you stay tuned for that.
The Frederick County Department of Aging is proud to announce a new initiative that is designed to streamline the application process for several benefit programs that assist older adults and persons with disabilities. This information and assistance event is a partnership of the Frederick County Department of Aging, the Maryland Food Bank, and the Frederick County Department of Social Services. One day per month at each of the county's senior centers, the Department of Aging will host representatives to assist with the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program application, formerly known as food stamps, and the Energy Assistance application. Also on hand will be the Senior Health Insurance Program Coordinator, who will answer Medicare questions and screen for Medicare subsidy programs. These events will begin at 10 a.m. and take place at the Frederick, Urbana, Emmitsburg, and Brunswick Senior Centers. Appointments are encouraged, walk-ins are welcome. For more information, to make an appointment, or in case of inclement weather, please call the Frederick County Department of Aging at 301-600-3520.
Welcome back. Our first feline guest is the very handsome Max, and he's about 10 months old. He is a black and white domestic short hair, and he is just one of the sweetest cats that we have on the adoption floor. He's very kind of easygoing, he's very relaxed, he loves attention, he's very easy to handle. You pick him up and he's just kind of, okay, this is what's happening right now, and you put him in the carrier, he's fine with that. You open it up, he walks right back out. He's happy to sit on a lap, but he's still young enough that he has some playful energy there as well. He is color-coded orange, which means he's individually average, just, you know, as any cat would be. He wants to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it, but he's, you know, pretty easy, as I said, to handle and interact with. He was previously owned. It looks like the daughter owned the cat, and she had him and couldn't keep him, and then brought him over to her mother's house. The mother kept the cat for about 3 days and then discovered that Max didn't get along with her other pets, so she brought Max to us. She says that Max is aggressive. However, I have not seen anything aggressive about Max. So it can also be, you know, he was in a brand new situation. So here's how things kind of shake out. When you take home a new pet, you can't expect them to get along with your other pets as soon as they meet. We say in all of our contracts that you should give your animals at least 60 days, but sometimes, to be realistic, it can take up to a year before they feel truly comfortable in their new home. Not all animals get along, just like every person you meet on the street might not be your best friend. Same thing in the animal world. What's important to understand is that they do not have to get along. They just have to not hurt each other. And 3 days is not really an acceptable time frame for any of the animals to figure that out. When we send home our animals, especially our cats, we recommend that you keep them in an isolated room for about a 10-day period. That gives them a chance to get used to all the smells and noises in your home, kind of figure out what the routine is, when people are home, when they aren't, and then gradually start increasing their territory and slowly, through supervised visitation, introduce them to your existing pets. Until you feel confident that they can all get along, you want to keep them separated when they're not going to be supervised. If you are interested in Max, you can come in and visit with him here at the shelter. Our adoption fee for all of our cats and kittens is $97.50. That includes basic veterinary care, such as making sure he's been neutered, he's going to get his rabies vaccine, distemper, he's going to be dewormed, he's going to get flea and tick preventative. We've gone ahead and already microchipped him, and we do also offer you a free well visit to the vet. Our next guest is Summer, and she is perhaps one of the sweetest cats that we have on the adoption floor. She loves attention. She is happy to see anyone who wants to stop by her cage and give her some love. She's just an amazingly sweet girl, and who couldn't use a little Summer in their life after some rainy, cold, wet, nasty days? Summer will definitely be a ray of light for you and your family. One of the first things you're going to notice when you see Summer is that she is a big girl. We have deemed her morbidly obese. She should be losing at least 5 pounds. And we have her on a special diet to help with that. if you were to adopt Summer, you would need to be, talking to your vet and figuring out what she needs to be on to help her lose her weight. You want to do it very slowly. You don't want to do it something that's super fast because that can be detrimental to her health as well. You want to make sure you're finding something to get her active, get her moving around, a little bit of exercise. Right now, we have written on her cage that Summer doesn't like to be picked up. And while she really loves attention, because she is carrying so much extra weight, being picked up and held could be uncomfortable for her. So we're trying to respect that. We want to make her feel as comfortable as possible while she's here staying with us. But as you see, she is perfectly happy sitting on a lap. So, for this purpose, I put her up there. But once she's in a home environment, she can jump up on a lap whenever she's ready and kind of cuddle and hang out with you. She does need a dental. She has a need for that. So then there's, when you're getting into an older cat, there are some things that you need to be taking into account as far as health-wise. We have reassessed after we've looked at Summer and aged her to be about 6 to 7 years old, so she is one of our seniors. And because of her weight, you just need to keep a good eye on her veterinary care and making sure that she's doing well. She was previously owned, and they brought her in because they said they didn't have enough time for her, and they'd only had her for a year, and they got her from a friend. Because she is one of our seniors, she gets a $20 reduction in her adoption fee for that. And Summer is also part of our Marty Paws promotion for February, so she gets another $20 off for that. So you will be able to take her home for, instead of the normal $97.50, $57.50 if you were to adopt her or put in an application in the month of February. If you're interested in Summer, please stop in and visit with her. You don't want to miss out on a chance to get a great animal as part of your family. Link is our next feline guest, and he's another just kind of really mellow, chill, relaxed guy. He's 1 to 2 years old. He came to us as a stray. He's just a handsome brown tabby. We have taken him out to several events. We took him out to a Tractor Supply, and he was also one of our pets of the week for our radio visit, and he handled the trip relatively nicely. We put him out in the cage at the Tractor Supply, and people walked by, and he just kind of laid there and hung out, and he was okay at certain points of the day of being taken out, and I held him, and he didn't try to, run off. He was very interested in the guinea pigs that we also took, so he was kind of watching them as they walked by. A little intimidated by dogs and things like that, but we don't know what his experiences are. So if you're interested in taking him home and you have a dog at your home, you want to make sure that you're introducing them slowly and understand that they got to figure out what their hierarchy is, and they both might get smacked in the face with a paw a couple of times as they're figuring those things out. Because he is a stray, we don't have a lengthy history about what his previous experiences have been, what he gets along with, what types of things that he likes. But again, here in the shelter, he's been just a typical young adult cat. He loves to be petted and handled. He's very easygoing. He's fairly quiet. He's not chatty like some of the cats on the floor. He's just a very handsome, sweet guy who needs another chance at a loving forever home. He will do well in any home, but you do want to make sure that you're giving your animals time to settle in. You don't want to rush things. Again, that 10-day isolation period in that separate room will help him transition from living in a very small space to in a much bigger space. Just letting your animals roam free in the house when you first get them home can be overwhelming for some of them, and then they want to feel secure, so they run into those smaller spaces under the couch, under your bed, underneath whatever they can get into to feel safe. So we want to make sure we're taking it slow with them. If you were interested in making the handsome Link part of your family, again, you can come into the shelter and visit with him. We've already neutered him, so we won't have to worry about getting him on a surgery schedule. So it will be a little bit quicker process there. Again, if you're looking to visit the shelter, we are located at 1832 Rosemont Avenue. Our next guest is Malka, and she is another one of our seniors. She's about 7 years old. She was previously owned, and they too brought her in because they said she was having issues with aggression with the other pets. We have color-coded Malka as a blue color-coded card, so she's super mellow and loves attention, and you can kind of do whatever, and she's pretty much okay with it. So again, you know, another example where we're not seeing so much aggression from her, but it is something for you to consider if you're thinking about adding her as a second pet or a third pet, so on and so forth. The other pets they said were a dog and a kitten. So I'm assuming that they had her for a while, they had her for 2 years, and now they got a new kitten, and maybe Malka wasn't feeling the love anymore. Maybe hadn't adjusted to the kitten. They didn't say how long they worked with it with the new kitten in the family. They did say that she's nervous and shy and afraid of strangers. She hides most of the time. You know, she is a little bit reserved. She's not necessarily coming out and greeting everyone, but she loves attention when she gets it. And so, you know, once she settles in, she's going to be more confident. She had no issues coming out and being put on a lap. She's happy to be loved. I saw her interacting with volunteers. So while she is a little bit on the shyer side, she is very easygoing. And she's gonna, you know, make a great addition if you're able to spend the time with her and be a little bit more patient with her. She is all for declawed, which could be part of her problem. Sometimes when you declaw an animal, it can change their behavior. It can create a situation where maybe they are more aggressive because they have no defense mechanisms. Their only thing that they can do because they don't have their claws is bite. They can lash out because they feel insecure and they want you to leave them alone. That might have been the case with the other animals in the house. She's lashing out because she doesn't feel safe and she doesn't have that primary method of defense. They also said that she would hide a lot, and which is another thing that can happen when you declaw your cats, because they can't feel safe and have that defense. Then their way is to not put themselves in situations where they would have to defend themselves. They become very introverted. They kind of isolate themselves. So any of those things could be things that Malka is doing because of the fact that she's been declawed on all four paws. If you want to make this beautiful cat your newest addition, you can stop in and visit her here at Animal Control. Because she is a senior, she would go home for a $20 reduction in her adoption fee. Our last guest today is Miss Lila Grace, and she's about 10 months old. Getting close to that 1-year-old mark, and she is a very active cat. We talk a lot with our dogs about cats that maybe don't show, dogs that don't show very well in their kennels. They're really highly active, energetic, and they show better outside. Lila Grace is kind of in the same boat. She's, as you can see, very, very active. She loves to play and run around. And because of that, when she's stuck in her cage, she gets a little antsy. She has lots of pent-up energy. So sometimes when people stop to visit her and they're petting her, she can get a little overstimulated, and then she can be a little grabby with her claws and things like that. It's not because she's not a perfectly sweet cat. It's just that she has nowhere for all of that energy to go. Once she gets into a home environment, she can run around and she can play with her toys and things like that. She'll have those periods where, okay, I've worn out myself and now I'm ready to be petted and cuddled. So Lila Grace would do better in a home that is cat savvy and understands those needs. If you were interested in making Miss Lila Grace part of your family, then obviously you want to stop in and visit with her here. We can do our best to make sure that you're seeing her in the positive light and explain to you all of the different quirks in her personality. She would be adopted for that adoption fee of $97.50. And if you wanted to visit with her, our open kennel hours are going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Friday from 10 to 5, on Wednesday and Thursday from 12 to 8, and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. We want to thank you for tuning in and watching the show and meeting some of our adoptable animals. If you want to see more of our animals, you can always stop in and visit us here at the shelter at 1832 Rosemont Avenue. And we hope that you'll tune in again next week when we showcase all of our amazing animals.